kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
It has been a long and incredible season, and what better place to end it than the home of the Snowball Derby, Flags Speedway in Pensacola, Florida, here tonight for the season finale of the Super Late Model AI Series season. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Alongside me, as always, my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso. Tony, there could not be a more fitting place to end a super late model season than Flags Speedway in Pensacola.
Yeah, I mean, this is the mecca of super late model racing, especially in the winter time up here in the north. Everybody goes south where the tracks are still hot, and it doesn't get any hotter than Five Flags for the Snowball. Just the number of names that have come through here from the upper tiers of oval racing in the United States. You know, the Bush brothers, you've got Dale Jr., Dale Sr. ran here. You know, the names, it's a who's who of short track racing.
Absolutely is. And speaking of, you know, the weather being hot down here, we've got a championship fight that is about as hot as it could possibly get. For the first time this season, Derek Griffith has taken the championship points lead. He's got a 13-point lead, but we're going to have to do some quick math here tonight, which, as you guys have seen all season long, is definitely our strong suit. We've got the top 5 drivers in the championship all within 21 points of each other. It is going to be quite a race here tonight.
It is, and you actually can't count out Austin Herzog. That kid has done nothing but surprise us all season long. Currently sitting 6th in points. He's a little bit out of it, but all it needs is just one real bad finish from the 5 drivers in front of him, and we could see the 11 bringing home the championship tonight if everything falls his way.
It's not out of the realm of possibility, and it is the top 6 that are really still mathematically eligible. You get 100 points for a win, and the least amount of points you can earn over the course of a race is 46, so that would immediately knock out Sean Woodside. So it is the 6 guys that have a legitimate chance at winning this championship. Austin Herzog is by far and away the outlier here, but a lot of people really, really close. Walt Clow 13 points behind. Tony Breedinger and Corey Heim both tied 17 points behind. And then you have Tanner Reef, who's 21 points behind. It is going to be about as close a dogfight as you could ask for between 5 different drivers. And with the way this season was set up, Tony, this is exactly what we were trying to accomplish. And boy, oh boy, did we do it.
We've had close racing all year. We've had a close points chase all year. I think Tony Breedinger had the biggest lead at one point at 96.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, and now that, has completely vanished after a couple of bad finishes in the since she won at Concord. But coming into tonight, I don't think we could have scripted this any better. If you were handed, the what do they call it for a movie, the
script.
The script. If you were handed a script to a movie, somebody would look at it and go, yeah, this is baloney. We're not doing this. There's no way you're going to have that many. It's 6 people in contention for a championship coming into the final 200-lap race. Of all places, 5 Flags here in Pensacola, Florida. Hollywood wouldn't even buy that script. And they don't know a lot about racing, let's be honest.
Here's another script. Now, you can't really take practice because everyone is jumbled up. They're all, as you just saw there with Walt Clow, they're racing in a pack, racing side by side, so you can't really judge this by practice. But Derek Griffith, the man you're seeing on screen right now, was the slowest in the practice session at a 16.14. I'm sure that's also because he couldn't put in a clean lap. But that's a little bit more drama right there. The guy coming in, leading the points with the best chance at winning it, right now at the back of the field.
Well, I mean, it kind of is what it is. As much as I hate that phrase, but it looks like Griffith's going to be one of the first ones to roll it for qualifying.
Yep, absolutely. We do have everyone on track right now, except
Shocker.
for a couple. Mark Wirtz not on track, Tanner Reeve, John Moore, and Blaine Roca not on track just yet here in our flash qualifying session. As we're following Griffith here, one of the championship contenders. Austin Herzog on track as well. Not that far behind where Griffith is. And first laps, Corey Heim. Nope, Walt Clow to the top, 46. Up to the top at a 15.95.
That's hauling the mail around here. I think that's maybe less than a tenth off the actual track record in the real world.
Corey Heim sets the best time, but then it's Sean Woodside taking it over at a 15.78. What a flyer out of Woodside. Tanner Reef, one of the championship hopefuls, will be the first of the last 4 to set a time. Reef, 24th quickest his first lap. 13th is the best he can manage. Blaine Roca to 22nd. John Moore to 17th. Mark Wirtz up to 9th. As that ends our flash qualifying session right now, it's Corey Heim drawing first blood.
I'm showing Woodside.
Well, no, Woodside is
of the top
yes.
5 in points. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Corey Heim is putting himself in the best position right now. It's still. I mean, it's 200 laps here. We're looking at least 2 pit stops.
It's going to be quite a night here tonight at quite a day race here, but night broadcast. And you guys know what I mean. Anyway, we'll take a look. We'll save myself here.
I wish I knew what you meant.
We'll go to the grid just to save my sanity. We'll go to the grid here for tonight's season finale race. And on the pole, it will be Sean Woodside with Corey Heim, the first of the championship 5, starting outside of the front row. Trevor Huddleston and Sammy Smith with his best qualifying effort of the season, making up row 2. Row 3 goes to Walt Clow and Dominic Lopez. Cole Moore and Jake Drew find themselves in row number 4 with Mark Wirtz and Derek Kraus in row number 5. Wayne Stokes and Gio Selzy make up row 6. Carson Quapple and Tanner Reef, Tony, make up the top half of the field.
Derek Griffith and Parker Trey is going to roll it off in row number 8. Row 9 is going to give us John Moore and Austin Herzog. Keep your eye on that 11 tonight, folks. Mark my words. Jeremy Doss and Andy Allen going to roll it off in row number 10. Row number 11 sees Josh Berry and Colby Howard. Row number 12, Eddie McDonald and Blaine Roca. Row number 13, we see Austin Maynard and Ty Majeski, and starting shotgun on the field. Oh boy, Tony Breedinger, she just put herself way behind the 8 ball on this one.
Absolutely did, but we have seen all season long that there are a lot of things that can play out during these races, and the drivers that you see up at the front are not necessarily those that come away with the win. We've seen guys lead 150 of a 170 lap race and not come away with the win. They end up finishing in the mid-teens.
You are correct, and it's a crapshoot, really. You got to have luck fall your way. How many times this season have we seen green flag pit stops start to fire off, and then all of a sudden there's like 12 cars on pit road, and a caution comes out, and they get trapped a lap or more down?
We have definitely seen that more times than not here this season. We'll take a look at the weather conditions for today's race. Just past 3 o'clock p.m. here on this Saturday afternoon. 78-degree ambient temperature, but that's not the problem. 101-degree track temperature here today, beating down in the late afternoon here at Pensacola. It's a hot, slippery racetrack, but with the time, it's most likely going to be getting a lot cooler as this race goes on.
Yeah, it's absolutely not the worst track temperature we've seen this season, or ever for that matter. But triple digits, these Hoosiers are going to wear out very quickly.
Absolutely. Is the grid lining up? Well, still lined up here, waiting for the grid time to tick down. We've got just 2 more minutes before we go racing. So the championship contenders, Corey Heim starting in 2nd, Walt Clow starting in 5th position. Looking back through the field, it's a big gap. Tanner Reef will set off in 14th. Derek Griffith right behind him in 15th. And as we've said, Tony Breedinger starting at the very tail end of the field. It has not been her forte this season, has qualifying, but she started at the back at Charlotte and won there. She started at the back at Concord and came home in 2nd by less than half a car length there. So she can work her way up to the front. She's just got to get there first.
And it's the tracks that don't have a traditional line around them, that you see on most short tracks. Those are where she seems to excel. We saw her really put the works to it at Charlotte. Concord, she had a really strong run, and that's one of the weirdest tracks we've ever visited. But, coming into here tonight at Five Flags, the one thing I can tell you, Frank, is if you ever really straighten out the wheel so that the line at the top of your steering wheel is pointed directly straight,
you're not going.
You're doing
enough.
It wrong.
Yeah.
You're in trouble at that point, because you never really stop turning the car here at Five Flags. Throttle control is going to be at a premium tonight. We're able to see 2 wide racing, but with the amount of marbles that are already laid down on the very top shelf here, if you go 3 wide, chances are you're going to eat concrete. And you can tell by the black marks on the wall, we've already seen some drivers test the strength of the outside retaining wall already.
And we've seen these guys have done a lot with the extra foot of room that they've had with no safer barriers at most of these racetracks. And still, sometimes it is not enough. The cars are getting fired up and getting ready to roll. Here at Five Flags, we are off and ready to go here for the final race of this season. 200 laps, Five Flags, 5 different drivers ready and looking for a chance to take home this championship. Tony, it is going to be a very, very exciting one.
It absolutely is. I do want to thank everybody for making us a part of your Saturday evening. This may be the last race of this season, but don't worry. We will announce at the end of this race what the actual game plan is for season 2 of the AI series. But let us know in the chat who you're pulling for tonight. Who do you think is going to win the championship? Who do you think is going to win the race?
And with this being a premiere, there will be a live chat, as there has been all season long, and as there will be for season 2. I can tell you that there will be a couple of weeks break here before we get into season 2. But that is then. This is now. Tony, take us away.
For the final time this season, it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab the sunscreen because it's time to get it on in Pensacola. Race fans, it's show time!
Great start for Sean Woodside on the inside. Corey Heim gets clear. Everybody else still 2 by 2 down through this field. Sammy Smith on that outside line. There is banking here, but the inside line has been very, very good in practice.
It is, and it's kind of reverse progressive banking like we normally see. It's actually pitched more on that low lane than it is on the second lane. But you can make passes on the top side. You're going to need to... The later the run goes, the better that top lane is going to be. Right now, the bottom feeder line seems to be the way to go, as we've got a 2-car breakaway at the front already, Frank.
Yep, Woodside and Heim starting to break away a little bit. One thing we do have back for this week is the numbers on the driver details. We were able to sort that out with SDK, and we figured out what has happened, and now we have them back. Corey Heim, the first of the championship contenders. They've broken away by about a second over this group here. Is everyone still side by side, 2 by 2. Not really much progress being gained. Derek Griffith to the inside of Tanner Reef. That is for second in the championship right now, or for, third in the championship right now. Corey Heim would be the champion if this race were to end right now, which we know it's certainly not.
Oh, absolutely not. We're only working lap 6 of 200. As there you see Griffith starting to get about a car length on Reef. Reef trapped on that outside lane. He's got to figure out how to stop the hemorrhaging and stop it quickly.
It's also Austin Herzog right there as well. Herzog has to get up to the front. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If he wants to win the championship, he's the one that's the furthest back. He is by far and away the dark horse. He's got to beat everybody out by about 50 points here tonight, so he certainly has to get a move on things.
He has to basically win the race and hope everybody else finishes outside of the top 15.
That is a tall, tall order for that number 11. Tony Bredinger still stuck at the back of the field. She has gotten past Ty Majeski, but nothing, not really much progress beyond that as Bredinger works her way back up through the field. But up at the front, Sean Woodside and Corey Heim have gotten away almost 3 seconds the gap that these two have over the rest of the field, as Huddleston and Smith are still stuck side by side.
You know, that's something different than what we've seen all season. Normally we'll see the leader get away, and then it'll be 10 laps before the second place can finally get a clear and start to pull. But, you know, the fact that the two of them, Woodside and Heim, have both gotten out on the likes of Huddleston and Smith, and Smith is not giving up on the top side. And you can see as we're looking forward at Smith from Lopez, you can see the better drive that Smith is able to get off of 2, but just the shorter way by a lot The 50 is able to get a better corner entry, but the outside lane definitely has the advantage on center off.
You can also see the beautiful scenery around this racetrack with the Florida Everglades all over this place, and also the unique feature of this racetrack, the electrical wires going up over across the start-finish line and the entry to turn one. A very shocking gantry, I would say.
Well, I mean, that's how this track was. You don't dare bury the lines because of the swamp that's down there. It will just corrode the lines. We're 3 wide. Good grief.
A little bit of contact between Cole Moore and Dominic Lopez, but Moore makes it work. He gets out in front of Lopez and comes down in front of Mark Wirtz. That's how you're going to have to do it. A big move by the 99.
And, it's going to favor those guys that have the chutzpah to really throw it in there. Right now, though, most of these guys are just riding, making sure that they've got a decent car under them, seeing what this first tire run is going to look like. And then once we see the first round of green flag pit stops, then it's going to be game on, Frank. But tonight's trivia question, what racing movie I might add, was this track featured in?
And I am ineligible because, Tony, you told me before the race because I didn't know.
I did at that, but I want to see who of our watchers can find the answer to. We will give you the answer before we're done, but what racing movie that this track was very well featured in a couple of times in that movie?
And if you put it in the live chat as well, that will also help. Maybe we can, drivers here tonight are getting a trophy. Maybe we can work a way to offer somebody something if you're the first one in the chat to put that in. We'll get in contact with you that way. As Walt Clow continuing to hold on to that 5th position right now is broken free, does not have Sammy Smith to his outside anymore. Still not quite taking that outside line, trying not to take that sweeping run because Cole Moore has shown to be very quick in that 99.
Yeah, Clow is definitely protecting that inside lane. He does not want Moore to get to his door, because if he does, chances are they're going to lose even more time to the leaders than they already are with those 2 guys running 2 wide in front of them.
Mark Wirtz gets shifted out into the outside lane as Wayne Stokes goes through to fill the slot in the inside line.
And if you had told me at the beginning of this season that Stokes, after the first 2 races, if you had told me Stokes was going to be in the top 10 coming into the season finale, I would have told you were nuts.
Yeah, he had a very poor run of it. I believe not finishing the first couple of races of the season, but it goes to show with 100 points going to the winner, just shows how big a race win can be, as we see Sean Woodside looking for his 3rd race win of the season, running away with Corey Heim very much in tow. These guys have broken out to a 7.5 second advantage over that group that we were seeing, but again, still a very long way to go. We're already 26 laps into this race.
Well, I mean, so far everything's quiet as Tony Breedinger was able to wrestle a couple more spots away. She's gotten by Roca, still kind of side by side, but she's got about a clear on Roca. John Moore to her outside, and that is a gaggle of cars. As a matter of fact, the Andy Allen in front of her, those 2 have done war this season between Breedinger and Allen.
Absolutely, as Blaine Roca now dumps in behind the 25 on the inside line, looking to get around John Moore in the 27, and does so successfully. Breedinger by far and away the biggest mover of the race at +4. Eddie McDonald and Josh Berry out in front of her as well have moved up a couple of spots. We'll go back to Austin Herzog battling with Gio Scelzi. Herzog now on the outside line has gotten around Tanner Reef, as you can see in that 9, but that red bumper, the 12G of Derek Griffith, has gotten up to that 12th position, has moved him up into the middle of this group.
It has, and don't do it. They were looking 3 wide going into 1. That's just sketchy here at Pensacola, especially with how pronounced the marbles are on that very upper lane.
We've seen it work tonight once already. Again, we saw 3 wide work at Concord once, and then after the second time they tried it, they didn't go for it again.
Well, you've got to have the person on the outside lane willing to back out of it. And right now, as Griffith is working the inside on the 19, if somebody sends it up the middle, the 19's got to be willing to back out, or else we're going to have 3 cars into the wall.
We've seen that a lot this season. We saw it a couple of times last week at Hickory. We saw it most predominantly at Thompson, where we began the second half of this season. Those 2 leaders still well out in front, an 8-second gap. There's the back of the field already. And as we've said, over the course of this season, that's going to happen. You're going to see a big old accordion. 2 guys are going to get out in front, and they're going to run away. Then once they get into lap traffic, it's difficult for them to get through, just the way the iRacing AI is. So it's going to make so that big gap of 8 seconds is certainly going to come down.
It is, especially since you got 3rd, 4th, and 5th running stem to stern right now in a single file line, as Moore just throws it to the inside there. Power move to try to get by the 24. But here we go. It's Huddleston, Clow, and Smith all in a freight train, and they're starting to chip into that lead that the top 2 have.
Yep, and they've put 2 seconds on the group behind them, as I think there might have been a little bit of an issue as Lopez and Moore have gotten away from this group here. Maybe some just shuffling has gotten those guys away.
Well, the 6 has finally gotten to the low line. That's probably what you're seeing as far as shuffling goes. He's gotten to the low line. Now he has the advantage on the 35, as I believe yes, it is. That's Stokes on the top shelf now, as the 55 and the 12 are starting to reel him back in.
Carson Quapple on the outside, and for one of the ARCA regional champions last year, the 19-year-old out of Mooresville, North Carolina, Carson Quapple has had a season to forget in that number 35. Has only been up in the top 10 a handful of times, right now running in 9th. And I cannot remember a solid finish that 35 has had all season. Been very unfortunate. Came in thinking that he was going to be one of the big contenders, also around guys like Josh Berry and Ty Majeski. We thought those guys were going to be big contenders for this season. It just has not panned out for them this year.
Well, the other thing too, I mean, we were expecting the Sunrise Fords to be up in contention. We were expecting all 3 of the McAnally cars to be up there. And if you had told me that none of those 5 cars were going to be competing for the season championship, I would have told you were nuts. But here we are.
You got one with Tanner Reef, and those Sunrise cars have taken 3 wins on the season. Derek Kraus has taken a win, has taken a couple of wins on the season as well. So it's been individuals, but as a team, you're right, it has been very disappointing for both especially the McAnally crew, the 16, the 19, and the 99.
They've had flashes of brilliance, but they just have not been able to put back-to-back consecutive good races together. You know, you take a look at someone like Tony Breedinger. For the first half of the season, she didn't finish outside of the top 5. And that's what gained her the points lead. Whereas the McAnally cars would be up, down, up, down. It was one of the worst roller coasters I've ever seen in a series.
And especially with a guy like Cole Moore, who's still running side by side with Dominic Lopez. Cole Moore had started off this season very, very well, led a vast majority of the laps at USA International, and it just could not put races away. So we go up to Sean Woodside and Corey Heim.
Sorry, I bumped my mic button.
There you go. It's Woodside and Heim battling side by side for the race lead. They've gotten back into the pack. And this is where the rest of the field is going to come back into play. It was an 8-second lead, and in just a couple of laps' time, it has fallen down to about 6.5, now almost 6 between these top two. And the two you're seeing here, the three you're seeing here, is Huddleston's actually starting to pull away from the two behind him.
He is, only because Sammy Smith in the 51 is trying to play defensive against Walt Clow, wants to keep Clow behind him, wants to get, I believe it'll be his first top 5 of the season if Smith can hang on.
Yep, Sammy Smith is another one who's had a very rough season in that Kyle Busch Motorsports, number 51. Johnston, Iowa native, just 18 years old, long career ahead of him, and we're seeing it in the upper classes of NASCAR now. Seeing him in some ARCA starts, seeing him in some truck starts for Sammy Smith, so he's got a very bright future ahead of him. And still this super speedway-esque pack here, from 8th on back, still just unable to move.
And it's very indicative of what we set this season up like, Frank. You know, the drivers are coming in with the highest aggression level that we could muster for them. You know, basically like a drunkard at a bar looking for a fight. That's what these guys are like behind the wheel. They're being as aggressive as the AI can be. They're being as skilled as the AI can be. The only problem is we haven't seen the consistency out of most of these drivers.
I'm starting to think maybe that we shouldn't have bumped the overall skill up to 125. Maybe we should have put it down to 0. Maybe that would have, well, that only really affects lap time. So I'll take that back.
Yeah, but it would also make a little more havoc. We would have seen a lot more cautions at some of the tracks than we did see this season. I mean, there was, 7 cautions at Concord?
Oh, that was at Charlotte the very next week.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was, yeah.
As Sean Woodside and Corey Heim still doing battle. Woodside has the race lead. He would be the only driver, I should say, to win 3 races on the season. We have a couple that have won 2. Sean Woodside being one of them. Derek Kraus being another, and I think there's one more. But yes, Tenerife, you're right. As here comes Corey Heim to the inside. Just getting ready to say Heim could sit there and chill because he knows if he finishes right here, he'd be the champion. Just about to think to say it, he takes him 3 wide and takes the race lead away.
And that goes for that aggression level that we were talking about. It's probably a good thing that there are no real-world drivers in this sim right now, because you know as well as I do, Frank, you can only sit behind lap cars for so long before the patience dies and all of a sudden you're turning someone out of frustration.
I'm noticing something out of that group. If you're the keen-eyed viewer, will notice that there is a new person leading that inside line, and somebody has gotten away. That somebody would be the 6 of Jake Drew, who has finally broken free, is able to run that AI-provided line, and now it's Mark Wirtz even with Gio Scelzi, and I'm sure that Derek Griffith is hoping that Wirtz can get a little bit of a move on to see if he can chase down Corey Heim and Walt Clow to try to protect his championship lead.
Yeah, he absolutely has to. I mean, right now, you're only looking at 2 points separating second and third in points as they currently sit. 2 points. That's it.
Take a look really quick at the championship point standings coming into this race. Griffith does have a little bit of a buffer, has 13 points on Walt Clow, Tony Breedinger, Corey Heim, and Tenerife. And right now, Tony, I know you have the math in front of you. That 13 points is not enough where he is at right now to be able to maintain his championship lead.
It absolutely is not. He's got to get by the 55. He's got to reel the 6 back in, and he has to finish at least 4 cars away from Corey Heim if Heim were to go on to win the race.
So that would be first and at no less than 5th.
Right.
For the 12 of Griffith, as Corey Heim still battling with Sean Woodside to be the first to be held up by lap cars. At this early stage in the race, that's really all he's battling for right now, as Sammy Smith, Trevor Huddleston, and Walt Clow are working their way up to the back of these guys. What was an 8-second gap has now shrunk down to just over a second that these three have fallen off the back of the guys in front. Cole Moore and Dominic Lopez still battling side by side, working to close a 7-second gap between themselves and the top three. And we saw this at at Southern National. Two guys running side by side the entire run, not giving each other really any help, but still able to drive away from those behind and catch up to those in front.
Well, they're going to have to get it sorted out pretty quick, because the 6 is coming like a freight train right now, reeling those guys in hand over fist, as neither one of them is really allowed to run the traditional line and, let it run off the corner. They're both having to pinch it down to stay off of one another and kind of feather the throttle a little more than they're really wanting to. So Jake Drew is just able, being as he doesn't have anyone else around him currently, is able to really lay down some laps right now.
And Drew has left that group about 4.5 seconds back, as it's starting to line up a little bit on the inside line, as Carson Quapple is able to take the line that he needs to run. Now not anymore, as Wayne Stokes jumps to the inside. But still, Gio Scelzi not giving up, nor is Mark Wirtz able to get out in front to try to get in a position like Jake Drew is in to be able to clear and run the line.
Well, we're to the point in the tire run where that second lane is going to start to come more and more into its own, as we see Heim and the 45. The hell?
Woodside is.
Oh, wow. Huddleston.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Huddleston's gotten to him.
I was going to say, that's not Woodside sitting in second anymore. As, you can see the line that Heim is running. He's able to kind of stretch a little bit of lead, not abuse the tires quite as much as those guys behind him are right now. But he's got to get a move on, because the peloton is approaching.
Yep. And it's unfortunate that he's not able to get through this lap traffic here, because he's starting to gain a little bit. He's got a second on those guys behind him. However, he's stuck in traffic just the same as they are, so not able to really be able to get away, and that's exactly what he needs to do in order to win the championship, especially with Walt Clow, who comes into this race second in points, sitting right behind Heim.
And his teammate, Tony Breedinger, currently battling it out with Colby Howard. It's Smith, the first one to peel it off on lap 76. He's going to go 2 laps down if he takes 4 here.
Heim in.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to have 2 pit stops here tonight for sure now. So Heim, second of the group to pit. So Trevor Huddleston now leads this race. No points, by the way. No points given to laps led. No bonus points or of any sort have been handed out all season long. So it doesn't matter if Klaus stays out to lead a lap. And
coming in now with a whole bunch coming down pit road.
That's Jeremy Doss, John Moore, Derek Kraus. Sean Woodside stays out and regains the race lead. Cole Moore running in second. Woodside signals he's coming in this time. See what Cole Moore does. Behind him in the 99, he is going to stay out. So Cole Moore will take over the race lead, and this is the part of the race where everything can get a little bit tense, because you don't know who is going to come out where, who's going to come out in front of who, how long pit stops are going to take. It does become very, very interesting, and this is where a championship can be won or lost.
Something just happened to Stokes.
Ooh, Dominic Lopez and Austin Maynard stopped on pit road.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, that's not good, and that is going to bring out a caution as everyone now starting to pile into the fast lane. Somebody else is stopped out on the track. I'm not sure. Is that the 9 of Howard?
Yes.
The 9 of Howard. The 9 of Reef, I should say. Yeah, Reef stopped. I think Reef ran out of gas.
Wow.
That is not the way to do that.
Wow.
See what triggered that. It was an issue with Dominic Lopez. And I think that was Blaine Roca on pit road. Here they are coming down pit lane. Well, here's Roca coming in. I think Roca's out. Or
Roca is out of fuel.
I think that's Lopez out, yeah.
Lopez is completely out of fuel. That car is not running.
And there's Tanner Reef going by. Here's Austin Maynard just in the fast lane behind him. And these are times where, unfortunately, artificial intelligence does not...
An oxymoron.
Yeah, it's not intelligence. Now, here's what happened with Tanner Reef. Reef, we just saw him pass pit road. Yeah, he's on the apron. He's out of gas as well, so he did run it out. And that causes a backup on the far end. Boy, again, for a championship hopeful, and there go two more of his championship rivals right past him. That hurts. And with that now puts Austin Herzog, the dark horse in this championship, in the lead.
Wow. I'm at a loss for words right now, Frank. I mean, we've seen it all season, especially out of the Sunrise Fords. They've been getting the fuel mileage wrong all season.
Yeah, and we did throw a manual caution for what was going on in pit road, but with Tanner Reef stopped on the backstretch where he was, the sim was going to throw a caution either way. As we now get the wave around cars by, to which there's going to be a lot. So it is Herzog, Wirtz, Berry, Majeski, Griffith, Heim, Sammy Smith, and Andy Allen. Those are the guys that are currently on the lead lap. Tony Breedinger is not.
3 laps down.
For pitting earlier, here we go. Back to green flag running. Here at 5 Flags, we are back underway. Austin Herzog, the race leader.
See the 55 of Wirtz dropping down in front of the 8 of Barry, trying to throw the block going into 1. Barry's going to look to the inside, but Wirtz going to be able to slam the door as here comes Majeski on the top shelf as he's got Quapple right behind him. And we've got more cars coming down pit road. What on earth are we seeing, Frank?
Mass exodus down pit road as everybody that was caught there behind the race leader is now coming into pit, including the man who was on pole, Sean Woodside. Boy, just
what
about
are we seeing?
I have no idea. Just everyone coming down pit road from 14th all the way down to 24th.
Jeepers.
And what that will do is that will effectively eliminate Tony Breedinger, who is now multiple laps down in 26th. It will eliminate Tanner Reef, and it will also eliminate Walt Clow, with Clow now being 3 or 4 laps down at the moment. Championship between Herzog, Griffith, and Heim.
Well, there's Griffith working on Heim right now as they go door to door down the back chute right behind Gio Scelzi.
And this is a championship position, by the way, for Derek Griffith. Griffith coming into tonight with 173 points. 1,073 points, I'm sorry.
What did Heim have?
I think 1053.
And it was 1048.
Let's go. Let's just
yeah.
Let's
bring
just
that
consult the graphic again. Oh, that's the results graphic. There we go. Now we'll get that one up. So it's Herzog is still going to need a miracle, but right now Griffith would be the champion. I think Tony's doing the math. I think.
Bring that back up.
It was 1,026 that Herzog had. Herzog leading this race right now as we're getting into the lap traffic of the drivers that were not able to complete their pit stops when the caution came out. 75 of Jeremy Dosh trying to stay at the lap deficit that he is at. Cole Moore right now currently sitting 1 lap down. He is in 9th. Just off the race lead, not that far behind. Just 2 seconds back, though, is Gio Scelzi. He is on the same lap as Moore. So is Carson Quabble, Colby Howard, and Jake Drew. Up through 13th position. Those guys are a lap down. Everyone behind Drew is 4 or more. As time adjusts.
Herzog's got to worry right now about those two behind him in the form of Heim and and Griffith, because unfortunately for him, it's still 53 points, and they're nowhere near where he needs them to be for him to clinch the championship. Yes, is he going to come home? Could he possibly come home with a race win? Absolutely. Is he going to win the championship right this second? Absolutely not.
That would be Derek Griffith right now. Again, coming into this race with a 13-point lead, just beyond halfway. And this is exactly what we were talking about, Tony. Anything can happen at any given point in this race, and the guy that we've seen lead hundreds of laps doesn't always win. See Griffith battling to try to get around the lap car of Gio Scelzi. Corey Heim has got to get back up to the front as quick as he can. Ty Majeski looking to the inside of the 11 of Herzog to take the race lead away, and will.
All Griffith has to do is finish 5th or higher, and nobody can beat him. He doesn't need to win the race. He just has to have a top 5 finish, and no one can touch him.
And that's where he is right now, currently running in 5th. As Ty Majeski, we were just talking about him being a disappointment this season, now takes the lead of the race. On the inside, as there is Tanner Reef. Reef currently 5 laps down in 26th. Breedinger 6 laps down, running in last. And Walt Clow 4 laps down at the moment, running in 17th. He's just ahead in this picture. There he is. He was running in the top 5. Everything was looking good. Not as good as it could have been with Corey Heim in the race lead, but still everything was looking very good until that caution came out.
And that's what we've seen all season long, is a group of people get caught a lap down or more because of green flag pit stops. A timely caution comes out, and I think that's what Reef was actually trying to do, was he was trying to stretch it as far as he could, hoping that someone would get into trouble either coming onto or coming off of pit road. And unfortunately, he tried to stretch it too far and rolled snake eyes.
Well, that, and also you could also take into account that Dominic Lopez was rolling so slow at pit entry by the time that Reef came up to pit entry that he couldn't get in even if he wanted to.
Yeah, you also have that little issue, but again, it comes down to strategy. They were trying to play the fuel mileage and guessed wrong.
Absolutely, they did.
And because of that, he's now eliminated from possibly winning the championship.
As unfortunate as that is.
I mean, even with free passes,
yeah, he's going to need a lot of cautions.
We're going to need to finish. We're going to need to finish the final 200 laps under caution, with a caution coming out every 3 or 4 laps for him to even have a shot at getting back on the lead lap. So, basically game over. Better luck next season.
Unfortunately, Walt Clow in the same boat again, running in 16th, just ahead of this group, passing the 45 of Sean Woodside, who was so dominant during that first stage. Tony Breedinger still mired back in traffic. Unfortunately, her hope for a championship is done and dusted, and it could have ended so much earlier. Just a consistent finisher, she kept finishing in the back.
What a tale of two seasons for the 25 in the wrong direction. The 12 and the 11 went the other way. It's almost like the roles were reversed with those three cars, where the 12 and the 11 didn't have a good start to the season, but they're finishing strong. Breedinger had a good start to the season, but all that luck seems to have gone the way of her teammate, Corey Heim.
Speaking of Corey Heim, there he is battling side by side with the 12, not quite clear of the 12 coming off at turn 4. And again, as long as Griffith can stay within arm's reach of Corey Heim, it will be the 12's championship to lose.
Heim has to finish 5 spots in front of Griffith for him to have a shot at the championship.
Just keep him outside the windscreen. You don't have to beat him. Just keep him outside the front windscreen. And with that, we've got, 80 laps to go here on this AI season. Right now, it is Ty Majeski up front with Austin Herzog in second place. Josh Berry right there as well. A very ill-timed caution in the pit cycle has caught a lot of the championship hopefuls out, completely changing the landscape of the championship race. We'll be right back to Five Flags in just a moment. Back here at Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola, Florida for the season finale of Season 1 of the Super Late Model AI Series. And a mid-pit cycle caution has really shook things up. Ty Majeski has gotten through with the race lead. Austin Herzog, one of the championship hopefuls, battling with Cole Moore, a lap car, for that second spot. Side by side for third between Josh Berry and Mark Wirtz. Corey Heim, another championship hopeful, running in fifth, the second car of the championship group. Currently running, Sammy Smith is in between him and Derek Griffith now. Griffith coming into the race, a 13-point lead in the championship, his first lead of the championship this season. And right now in position to be the champion this season.
And it's another one of those deals where, he didn't have the best start to the season, but ever since Thompson, he's really started linking races together, and I don't think he's finished outside the top 5 since then.
It's been a string of very good finishes for that number 12. Now running into a little bit of a logjam with lap cars and positions alike. The 2 cars in front of him, I should say, the 51 of Sammy Smith and the 20 of Corey Heim are for position with that 12. Austin Herzog still battling with Cole Moore. And just behind, there is Josh Berry, still trying to maintain that third position over Mark Wirtz. Mark Wirtz, a race winner this season, back at North Wilkesboro, collecting the first of 4 jewels in the crown. This is the 4th and final one to be handed out here this season.
Pied Piper, Chesapeake, Virginia, working the top side right now, trying to figure out what he's got to do to get by the 8. And there's not a lot of pressure from behind as far as positions go, because Corey Heim is mired in that pack of angry wolves behind those 2.
Yeah, he's got a little ways to go, as there's Sammy Smith up on the outside line. That will allow Derek Griffith to get to the bottom. And Griffith will now look to advance position back into 6th.
Very uncharacteristic of this track, too, is we've seen the bottom feeder line really work well here, where normally it's the top side as the run wears on deep into a tire run, like we saw just before those green flag pit stops, that the bottom lane was still able to hang on.
We're going to get some more pit stops here at some point during the final 60 laps of this season, as we saw Andy Allen have a very close moment during the break. Currently running in 8th, last car on the lead lap is that 22 of Allen.
Almost getting into it with Griffith coming out of the back straightaway. And you were laughing because I was losing my mind going, no, please don't let a lap car take out the points leader.
Berry and Wirtz still continue to battle side by side. Ty Majeski, by the way, is in a world of his own right now. Currently out in the race lead by 5 seconds is currently what Majeski has. And, again, so much for saying Majeski has had a downer of a season. We were expecting him to be up in the fight for the championship, now leading the final race of the year.
Well, better late than never as far as that team being able to put a good run together. We've seen flashes of brilliance out of the 91 team this season, but they haven't been able to close. And here we are, inside of 60 to go, actually 45 right now, as we're still waiting to see the money stop for the majority of the field. And we are within range, Frank, of you can make it from here.
We absolutely are. Austin Herzog still battling with Cole Moore. Moore, the first car, not on the lead lap. I'm surprised that Herzog just hasn't given up the ghost and fallen in behind the 99, because he'll be able to get away from this next group, which consists of his 2 championship rivals. And he's by far and away far enough back to where he can just give up the ghost as we ride on board with Herzog on that outside line.
You can see just how deep the rubber is getting on that outside lane, especially going into the corners, just how dark it is where the braking zone begins.
Seen that a lot this year. It's also really nice to see just the rubber buildup in these racetracks just advance from where we were at the start of the race to now.
And, when I was working on short track cars, it used to be fun after the race to go out on the track and just hear the stickiness of the track against your shoes. That as you're peeling your shoes off of that sticky surface. But with the weather conditions the way that they are, they're starting to drop. We've already lost a few degrees since the time we've gained temperature. Oh, wow. It has gone up.
Yeah, we've gained quite a bit. Ambient temperatures remain the same. We were at 101 degrees at the start of this race, and the cloud cover has done nothing to help that. It's actually gone up to 109, an 8-degree positive difference here during this race, and we're 3/4 of the way gone now.
Well, now that Moore and Herzog have gotten single filed out, they're going to be able to start to reel in the 91 as that battle for third still door to door.
Still going, and it's the same thing we saw earlier on where the two guys battling side by side have now been able to break away from the big pack behind them. As good news for Corey Heim is Derek Griffith. One is behind him by a position, but has a couple of cars in between, so he's not in immediate danger, is Corey Heim. But Griffith, as long as Griffith can see JBL.com out in front of his windscreen, he knows he's in a good spot.
You are correct. And, that's something that Griffith has to keep in mind. He doesn't have to win the battle to win the war. But, he just has to keep Heim in check. And, he pretty much knows right now, or at least his team should have been telling him, that the rest of the championship contenders are pretty much out of contention right now, with the exception of Heim and Griffith. He just has to finish better than 15th to win over Griffith and better than 5th to win over Heim. Or within 5 cars of Heim, I should say.
On board of Griffith, seeing what he can see. You can see how much. Oh, he had a big wiggle there. Had to really snap that wheel to the right as Sammy Smith cuts across and heads down pit road.
That was sketchy with a capital S.
Big fit of oversteer. Austin Herzog coming in now as well.
Money stop time.
Yes, it is.
40 to go.
Danger time, too, as we've already seen. Ty Majeski still out in front, just putting Tony Breedinger a lap down. Mark Wirtz in, Corey Heim in.
Quapple and Allen both bringing them pit side as well.
Ty Majeski now coming down pit road. Josh Berry and Derek Griffith are the top two. Berry stays out. Griffith comes in.
Trying to cut off the undercut that Heim would be getting on him.
Boy, and wouldn't it be something if we're watching a championship battle with none of the 6 drivers on the lead lap?
That's wild. That's really wild if you ask me. But, there is your race leader, and the question is, when is he going to come in? And, what's the call? Is it take 2? Is it fuel only? Is it take 4? Because we're inside 40 to go, and tire wear hasn't been as bad as we were expecting tonight.
Oh, absolutely not. Ty Majeski right now is the effective race leader. He only has a second over Austin Herzog because he's been mired in traffic. Herzog just getting to that traffic now, so a bad release point for Majeski has gotten him into a very bad spot for the race lead. Derek Griffith is about 4 seconds, is about a second and a half actually, sorry, just switched right there. About a second and a half off of Corey Heim, so he can't see him, but he's right there, just one position behind. Currently 6th and 7th are those two.
Well, you can see him down the straightaways as he's coming off of 4 as Heim's going into 1. And this is where it gets sketchy. You've got cars coming out of the pits. We've already got 2 wide racing. All it takes is one thing going wrong is Breedinger peels off to go pit side. We are riding on board with your current points leader, Derek Griffith.
Boy, and Heim is starting to get desperate. You see him up there in the middle of 3 wide, able to get the move done at least. And immediately right back up is Derek Griffith. Heim to 4th. Now battling side by side for that 4th position are Heim and Sammy Smith, and Smith has the run on the outside.
Smith had a shot out of a cannon coming down the back straightaway. That's why the Clow and Woodside were both getting ready to peel off. That gave Smith a run, and it kind of stacked up Heim and Griffith. As Griffith was able to get by Heim. Good grief.
Griffith was on the outside line behind Sammy Smith. So that was the opening that Griffith needed to make sure there was no doubt in the championship fight. And this is the mess that Breedinger about getting into the back of Parker Traves, who is coming down pit road. But the race leader, Ty Majeski, is just about through this mess. Meanwhile, Herzog still in the heart of it, making big slice and dice moves, knowing what he needs to do.
It's within 30 to go. It's time to start making your moves and starting to be as aggressive as you can be. You got nothing left to lose at this point, and Herzog knows that he needs to win the race.
Wow, what a move by Herzog!
Herzog full send it mode to pull alongside, 3 wide coming off of 4 as the 50 slams the door on Herzog. McDonald gets pushed up out of the way, gets into the the marbles as Clow goes to the inside of him.
Unfortunately, did not work out as far as the position goes, but what an audacious move by the 11 to take it 3 wide coming out of turn 2 and down the back looking for the race lead. Now finds himself with 2 cars between him and the race lead.
As he's driving now like a real-world driver would. Being aggressive, making lane changes as soon as you get the clear. The first half of the race, just keep the car clean. Don't do anything stupid. As there is your race leader, Ty Majeski, as he's got Cole Moore all over his back bumper.
But that's danger right there for the 11 of Herzog, because that 91, has clear racetrack in front of him. If he can get clear of the 25, you could kiss the race win goodbye, as Herzog still has to get through 3 cars.
Still has to get through 3 cars, and there are 3 very difficult cars to get by in the form of Breedinger, Moore, and Clow. Coming down the back straightaway, Majeski sends it almost clear of Breedinger. Breedinger trying to hang on the top side to give her teammate as good of a shot at getting the championship as she can, trying to hold up both Herzog and everybody on that top side, not letting Majeski get away. And 3 wide, Herzog, the meat in the sandwich.
Yep, that was the 45 of Woodside, sneaking the nose down in the bottom. Herzog in the middle, still there, just enough room to keep these 3 going. Boy, continuous 3 wide action for a full lap, and it's Herzog that comes away victorious. Now might make it 3 wide again.
He's going to make it 3 wide between the lap car of Breedinger, the race leader of Majeski, but he put Clow in a bad situation coming off of 4. Clow got the rear tire into the marbles a little too soon, and that let Herzog get up through. As now it's side by side as Breedinger gets the clear to stay on the same lap as she was. And now Herzog to the lead.
Yep, Breedinger got the clear on the outside as Majeski's slow on that bottom line.
Something might be wrong with the 91.
That's the only thing I could think of. He's not low enough to signal he's going to the pits. We have seen the AI with very intriguing fuel strategies, most recently being, what was it, just before at Nashville.
At the fairgrounds, we saw guys coming up about 5 laps short.
Majeski gets clear. Herzog now about to come under fire from Walt Clow. Boy, what a different connotation that battle's taken. after that caution.
Klaus 5 laps down, so Herzog doesn't need to defend quite as heavily against him as, unfortunately, what could have been for Clow Brothers Racing tonight.
The battle for the championship lead right now between Corey Heim and Derek Griffith looking the same as it did before. Griffith running in 5th, Heim just behind running in 6th. Josh Berry, boy, he's in a fight now, and this is what Berry gets for taking so long to pit. He was running up in 3rd, stayed out a good 5 or 6 laps extra than the guys behind him. He's fallen behind all of those guys and is now mired in traffic.
Yeah, it's unfortunate where he came out. Is he's got that, angry hornet's nest around him. And,
none of those guys are for position, by the way.
Correct. Those are all lap cars that he is mired in. As there we see Herzog finally gets the clear on Clow. Clear sailing ahead, not really putting the pressure on Tony Breedinger yet, as Clow still looking to the inside, kind of trapping Herzog to the top shelf. Herzog just running his own line. He's not pinching down in the corners to bind the car up. He's just letting that car run and doing what he needs to do. The only thing is he's running out of time, and he needs both Clow and Griffith to have horrid finishes both outside the top 15.
He's starting to pull away from Majeski as well. Majeski now 3/4 of a second behind, so it's certainly enough for a close finish. As we have 10.5 laps to go. Still that battle between Griffith and Heim not getting any closer.
As Griffith continues to lead Heim, 10 to go. This is your championship battle. There is the 12 of Griffith. As you can see, the 20 of Corey Heim behind him. Griffith just, if he finishes 5th or better, it doesn't matter what anybody else does. Currently, he's running in that number 5 slot. He does not need to pass the 55, but he'd like to.
Absolutely. Would love to at least get a little bit of room. Corey Heim has come down pit road.
Splash and go.
Oh no, and that puts him 10th. He's not on the lead lap anymore. Now the question's going to be, does Griffith have to take that splash and go?
Well, he pit with about 40 to go. And you can get 70 out of a tank of Go Fast if they packed it full of fuel.
That could be the championship right there.
6 to go as we're following along with Derek Griffith. He just
Corey
needs
Heim
to finish.
Corey Heim's in again.
The hell?
There's got to be a problem on that 20.
Popped for speeding on.
Oh, well, we'll see. Jeez. Mark Wirtz coming in. Yep, quick stop and go. My goodness, this has turned into a topsy-turvy race. There's Mark Wirtz.
Griffith now sits in 4th.
There is Griffith right there.
He was battling with Wirtz. Wirtz now a lap down.
And literally
4 to go.
All he needs to do is literally not pit, and he will be the champion.
He's just got to limp that car around for another mile and a half. Mile and a half. As there is your race leader. Yep. There is your race leader. 2 to go. Popsicle sticks in the air for the 11 of Herzog.
Jake Drew down pit road. Mark Wirtz down pit road again. Herzog.
Here we go, Frank, for the final time this season. Herzog can see the white flag. We are racing back to checkers here at Five Flags.
Boy, Austin Herzog did absolutely everything he needed to do today. Got the beneficiary of that caution in the first pit cycle. He will get the win. He will win the battle. Austin Herzog wins the season finale at Five Flags, but coming across the line now down into turn number 1, Derek Griffith, who did not take the points lead until coming into the final race of the season is your Super Late Model AI Series champion.
Herzog wins the battle. Griffith wins the war. And I can't think of a better place to bring the Season 1 championship for the Super Late Model AI Series than to Hudson, New Hampshire. Congratulations, everybody, on the 12 team.
Did not win a race all season long. It was the consistent finishes that gave Derek Griffith the championship here tonight. Austin Herzog picks up his first win of the season, and with that, most likely will come home in second in the championship. But Derek Griffith, your champion here tonight, and for this first AI Series season, Tony, I honestly don't think it could have gone any better.
I don't think we could have asked for anything better, Frank, simply because we saw great side-by-side action all season long. We saw 2 and 3 wide racing at places you don't normally see 2 and 3 wide racing, because normally something goes horribly wrong very quickly. And, the fact that we saw so many contenders, and we saw that points lead in the top 5 were within 100 points of each other from the get at way back at the Bull Ring at Vegas. This season was beyond expectations.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we started the AI series because we wanted to bring you different style racing at different style of racetracks than what we are used to broadcasting on. We're used to broadcasting the top 3 series at all of the big tracks, but we wanted to do something small. We wanted to do something different to bring you something that you haven't seen. If maybe you haven't seen it before, maybe you have seen it before, but maybe you haven't seen it in quite some time. And that was the goal of this series. And I think you're right, Tony, with everything that we did to try to make this racing as close and as competitive as possible. I don't think we could have asked for any better for an opening season.
You're absolutely correct, sir. And we asked a trivia question earlier in the night: what racing movie, did this track actually play a big part in? And the answer to that is 1982's Six Pack.
Well,
and if you haven't seen that movie, you owe it to yourself as a racing fan to at least see it one time in your life. And it is available for free on YouTube.
As this is a premiere, the live chat is there. So if anyone posted it in the chat, we'll see what we can do for you if you were the first one to post it in the chat. But again, Tony, just an unbelievable season in season 2. It's going to take a couple of weeks before we get to season 2, but we know what is going to be happening, and it's going to be quite a fun season 2. It's not going to be another oval series. We are going to try to alternate these AIs between oval and road, but I'm very excited for what season 2 has to offer.
Oh, very much so. And I've driven a couple of the cars that were going to be used in season 2, and I'll tell you right now, folks, you're in for a treat. If you've never been able to witness Aussie V8 supercar racing, some of the best door-to-door action on a road course you are ever going to see anywhere in the world.
Absolutely. And that is, like I said, that will be in a couple of weeks' time. But for us tonight, let's take a look at the final results here as they sit. Austin Herzog takes the race win, but unfortunately it was not enough. Ty Majeski and Sammy Smith coming home in the top 3. Derek Griffith, your championship winner, comes home in 4th. Josh Berry with his best finish of the season. For both Majeski, Smith, and Berry, their best finishes of the season in the season finale. Andy Allen, the final car on the lead lap, coming home in 6th. Cole Moore, Carson Quapple, Colby Howard, and Gio Scelzi rounding out the top 10. Mark Wirtz and Corey Heim both having to come in late, and in Heim's case, losing out on the championship. Jake Drew, Parker Traves, and Blaine Roca round out the top 15.
Walt Klaus, Sean Woodside, Dominic, Lopez, Austin Maynard, and John Moore rounding out your top 20. Wayne Stokes, Trevor Huddleston, Derek Kraus, Jeremy Doss, Eddie McDonald, your top 25. And very unfortunate night for Tanner Reef and Tony Breedinger as they round out the field of 27 here tonight at Five Flags for the season finale.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just thank you to everyone who has helped and made this season possible. It has been quite an unbelievable ride here this season, and we know that season 2 is going to be more of the same. Coming up on ESBN, you just saw the ISNF Cup Series All-Star Race earlier today. Tomorrow, they will be back in action again. This time they will be points racing. It will be round number 7 at Darlington Raceway. The Sunday Night NASCAR Series will also be at Darlington tomorrow night. More Darlington action as the CleanRacing.net Truck Series ends their 12th season. They will also be at Darlington. Coming up on Tuesday, the Rick Motec Cup Series will run round number 8 at Pocono. The Monster Energy NASCAR Racing League will run round number 6 of their season at Martinsville. And let me just see here. I'm not able to, for some reason, I'm not able to get it. But that is what you're looking at as far as what is upcoming here on ESPN. So for my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso, my name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making the Super Late Model AI Series what it has been. Congratulations to Derek Griffith on the championship. Good night, everybody.